The Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, a commentary by Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. This is a lecture titled Steadiness and Samadhi, given on December 31st, 1994, at Weggis Switzerland. When earth shakes for the few seconds, you know how much disaster happens. You could exist in this planet because earth is steady. Once in a while, earth shakes and it throws you off your place. Few seconds, good enough to bring the life's standstill for many days. There is natural calamity. Floods come, torrential rain comes, scorching heat appears, disturbs life. You can be at peace when nature is at peace. When the nature is steady. When nature doesn't behave in a funny manner. Couple of years ago, it appeared in the newspaper in the middle of summer in Sahara Desert, there was snowfall. Many of you would have read this. There was snowfall in Sahara Desert. And the same year, you also had read in papers, and many of you have experienced in England, it was so hot. Winter months, and the day became so hot. Never heard of before. First time in the century. Once in a while, nature shakes, but your senses are shaking every day. When the senses are shaky, it is unable to behold or hold the Lord within. It disturbs the peace in. Like the nature, when it is steady, there is peace. When your senses are steady, there is peace. Meditation can happen when there is harmony in nature and there is harmony in your senses. Your eyes are fixed. If your eyes are going all over the place, the mind is not in a meditative state. It's one thing you observe when you sit for meditation. Is your eye steady? Is your breath steady? Is the prana haphazard? Is it going smooth and normal, or it's going haphazard? When the senses are steady, the soul also becomes peaceful. Your being, your spirit inside you comes steady. When our senses get shaken, when the senses see the joy, which is the nature of self in the objects that are outside. Senses are the bridge. The middle, one side is the object, another side is the self. When senses think the pleasure is coming to me from the objects or more pleasure will come from the object, they shake. Even few minutes when the senses shake, they become tired and they become unable to enjoy a perceived joy, experienced joy. Are you getting what I'm saying? Recently, I had been to a blind school in India for 175 children who are blind. They sang bhajans for half an hour. We all went, many of us went in their 2 buses. And the way they were singing the bhajan with all their heart in it was amazing. One devotee said, "We have never experienced a bhajan session like this, a singing session like this. It was so powerful." Because there was no distraction for them. They didn't have to look here and there. It was as though they were singing from a very deep meditative state. Their whole being was in that bhajan, in that song. Some of you were there, here. Anybody? Because mind eyes were steady already. There was no way for the eyes to move here and there. This same eyes which you think guides you, brings you light, shakes you, brings you darkness too. Because these eyes that bring all sorts of temptations, imagines, this is better, that must be more beautiful, that must be great. Mind would be far more peaceful without the eyes. Greatest distraction of the steadiness in the self is the eye. Evil does not tempt you, your eyes is good enough. Someone said, God, don't give me any temptation. I will find my own temptation. And eyes finds its own temptation. Same thing with yours also. Sometimes people switch on the radio and every 5 minutes they go on moving the tuning, keep on tuning to different stations. I knew one person who would switch on the radio. It was even before television came to India, and he would not let anybody listen one song completely or one program fully. Few seconds he will turn what would be there in another station. He is curious. And few minutes he would turn it again, turn it again. The whole time will be spent tuning the whole. A little bit from here, little bit from there, little bit from there. Maybe a better song will come in that station. He will change the band, go there. It just feels very strange. But see, this is how mind works. Same could be true for people with the smell also. You put this perfume and then put the other one, then use the other perfume, or taste, or sense of touch. When the senses get steady, then the prana which is shaking inside you also becomes straight. You would have noticed when you're doing pranayam, see how your prana is steady. The prana becomes steady. And all those moments when you are feeling not so good, not so great, down or unhappy or afraid, fear is there. Observe the prana. It's nothing but the prana is shaking. And samadhi is steadiness in prana. Now don't worry because the prana is shaking. Oh, the prana is shaking, prana is shaking. Now don't shake with the prana. Just knowing, observing, being with that. Few moments, the prana becomes steady, and that is centeredness. And that brings you to a place where you are completely hollow and empty. This sutra, Patanjali says, you become like a crystal. Crystal exists, but still it makes the light pass through it totally. Though you exist with the body in the state of samadhi, you are not there at all. In other words, you can say, live as though you don't exist. This is samadhi. Then you are with the self. You are just with the self, steady, blissful, joyful. When you are with the senses, you are so totally in the senses. And when you are with the objects of the sense, you become the objects of the sense. How? Like in a crystal. Behind a crystal, you keep any color light, and the crystal, without any obstruction, assumes that color and that light. In the same way, you look at the mountain, you become one with the mountain. This is samadhi. There are two types of samadhi here. Patanjali describes one samadhi is that you experience during activity. That is sabij samadhi. As a child, you would be doing this. You have done this. Have you noticed the child? Its eyes are not glittering around here and there. It is very steady. A child stares at things, and there is depth in the eye of a child. It indicates the soul, how steady and stable the soul is. Eyes are the window for you to see the world, and the world to see your soul, how steady it is. If someone is too ambitious, too greedy, their eyes will indicate you. Look at this person, so selfish, so greedy, so ambitious. The person is kind and compassionate. The eyes will reflect that. Eyes means the face, the senses, the behavior, everything. Not just physical eyes, your appearance, your walk, your behavior, your words. Your entire life reflects what you are deep inside. This is the job of the senses. It gives you the knowledge of the world to you, and it gives the knowledge of you to the world. And when we polish these, make it hollow and empty, it becomes like crystal. The soul in you reflects that divinity, the Lord. The senses in you reflects that soul, that lordship in you. And you look at the flower, you are not just looking at the flower, you are touching the flower, you are feeling the flower, you are listening to the flower. All your senses become totally active. Like the crystal which reflects the Purusha inside you, the being in you, the senses and the object of the senses reflect one divinity. This is Sabij Samadhi. Are you getting what I'm saying? You look at the mountain, it reminds you of the self, of consciousness. You look at a flower, and the flower reminds you of consciousness. You look at the sun, moon, water. Just stare at the water, the ocean wave, and that gives you the idea of the unmanifest, the formless energy, the self by which this is all have come up. Then, that very moment, Samadhi is happening to you. You are in Samadhi. You're looking at a sunset and then you are in Samadhi, that the mind is steady, senses are steady. Steadiness is dignity. Steadiness is the strength. And steadiness is dispassion. You can experiment it. For a few moments, keep your body steady and keep your eyes steady. And you will see almost immediately the mind will also become steady. Stand still. The mind will become stand still, and the breath will become stand still. This is when the time stops. Death stops. Immortality begins. Before the time swallows you, before this earth gulps you, you wake up. You swallow the time. That is Samadhi. You got it? Samadhi is the state where you feel you can stay like this for 1,000,000 years. Samadhi is a state where the mind freezes. Like, you put the vegetables and things in the fridge to freeze and it stays fresh forever. Samadhi is the refrigeration of your life. Secret of youthfulness. Secret of bubbling enthusiasm. Secret of renewal of life. Samadhi. Steadiness. But we have all wrong understanding and concept of samadhi. We think samadhi is just go underground, don't breathe. People become very skinny, have all ashes all over their body, and very funny ideas about samadhi. Every experience of your senses, what you see becomes very bright, colorful, complete keenness of observation. You know, usually what happens when we are happy, we feel expanded. Have you observed? What is your feeling when you are happy? When you are happy, what happens? You feel you are bloating, something in you is expanding. You don't feel the body, but you feel just an expansion. And what happens when you feel sad, uptight, sort of contraction, tightness, reduction, isn't it? Also, when we feel expanded, our awareness is expanding. We tend to fall asleep. And when we want to have a keenness of awareness, we seem to be more uptight, not relaxed. See, if you have to have a thread go through a needle, it takes really good alertness to do that, right? Half sleepy person or someone who is drowsy or someone who is a drunkard cannot do that. If they had to string some very small tiny pearls, they cannot do it. Do you see what I'm saying? To do something very minute, it needs keenness of awareness. There are many people who are doing skillful jobs, knitting and whatnot, making all these jewelries out of tiny little pearls. They do that. There is a lot of sharpness and awareness. In one grain of rice, they can carve and they can do all these small little work in one grain of rice. At the same time, when the awareness is expanded, there is no keenness of awareness. When there is keenness of awareness, there is no relaxation. There is no expansion of awareness. The combination of both this, you are totally relaxed, happy, and expanded at the same time, have the sharpness of awareness, sharpness of intellect. This is Sabij Samadhi. Your senses become so clear that it can perceive better, see better, think better, hear better. You know, 95% of the population in the world, they don't hear properly. You tell people something and ask them to repeat, you can bet them that they won't repeat the same thing. And if you talk to them for 15 minutes and ask them to say whatever you said in 15 minutes, they can hardly repeat whatever you said for 15 seconds or minute at the most. 14 seconds, whatever you have spoken, have simply escaped in the wind, in the space. People have not heard it. Many people who do the basic course, after 4 or 5 times, they say, oh, this was not told in the first time. Many teachers would have experienced. I don't remember if I have done this before. And same thing with seeing. People don't see. You can have many instances, you can do many experiments to prove this fact that people don't see things as they are. We are insensitive to people. This is another thing because we don't see, we don't hear properly. We are totally insensitive to people's feelings. Samadhi is sensitive to others' feelings too. When you become sensitive and this instrument here becomes sensitive, the world, the nature becomes sensitive to you. Nature listens to you. How can this happen? What is the condition? Says Srina Vritte. When all these five activities we have dealt with before, then these rittis, activities, are subdued, subduing these activities. Sina vithar abhijata seva manad grahit grana grayesu tajsta tadanjanata samapati. The consciousness which grabs or which holds, and the object which it holds, and the senses through which it holds, all the three are in harmony. This is samadhi. Do you get this point? One who is seeing the mind, the self which is seeing, who is in harmony, the senses are in harmony. The eyes are the instrument through which you hold the seeing. Ears are the instrument through which you hold the sound. So your ear, sound, and from where it is coming, whoever is speaking, all three connected, they all become clean and crystal clear. When can that happen? When your mind is not going on its own trip of regret and anger, anticipation and all that, prove the five vritti, prove wrong knowledge, fantasy, sleep and memory. You know, when you look at a mountain, you just don't look at the mountain. Oh, this is beautiful mountain. Immediately mind says, oh, this is beautiful. And then it doesn't stop even there. This is beautiful. Oh, this is like Canada, or this is like Himalayas. Immediately something added to. So you are not seeing things as they are, but you are seeing through memory, seeing through comparison. That is no samadhi. It is an old story in India. Said a king had heard about a garden that the person had made with sunflowers. A beautiful sunflower garden in the middle of the desert. Rajasthan is all desert. So what amidst the desert? The man had cultivated, toiled and made a beautiful sunflower field, a sunflower garden. So the king heard about it. Everybody said, it's very beautiful, you should go and see it. So he decided to go there. When he went there, he saw just one flower. Because the man who was cultivating had removed all other flowers just but one. He said, what I heard a lot about your garden, he says, here is the flower for you. When there are so many, you would compare. Just to make it easy for you to look at the flower, I removed everything else. Your calculating mind will start, no, which is bigger, this is bigger, that is bigger, this is nice, that is blossomed, that is not blossomed. Now he has no choice, only one flower to look at. Grahitad grahana grayesu. Grahitad, that which holds. What holds? The mind, the soul, which holds the side, which holds the sound, which holds the taste, which holds the memory, that and through which it holds the senses and the object. All the three are in harmony. This is samapati. Tatsta tadanjanata. Though you are engaged in the activities of the senses, there is no feverishness. There is this steadiness. Do you see what I'm saying? You are eating food, every bit of it you are tasting, and it's just moving gracefully through your throat. But always you are stuffing the food inside. It's like a stampede. Food is, the more anxious you are, the more nervous you are, the more shaky you are, you start food very fast. Have you noticed this? That is not samadhi. Eat food thoroughly. 60% of the food gets digested in the saliva, in the mouth itself. 40 to 60%. Steadiness in spite of being in any one of the senses, sensory activity. And then he goes on to explaining a few more things, like very subtle modification of the senses. Okay, you are experiencing in this. Also, the mind is coming up with the knowledge about it. Oh, this is this, this is apple I'm eating, this is those I am seeing, this is so and so I am with. All these, there is a subtle discussion or awareness about. The knowledge, the past and the future, that he calls it Savitarka. There is a little debate, some few thoughts are going on there, but still, those thoughts have not disturbed the harmony. There are certain parts that don't disturb the harmony, certain thoughts which just throws you off the balance. A certain thought which helps promote you to come to the steady, calm state of awareness. So he says this is Savitarka Samadhi, where there is also some thoughts or discussion or an argument. It's not argument actually, more of a discussion. Smriti Parisudhau Swarupa Sunyeva Arthmatra Nirbhasya Nirvitarka. And there is another type of samadhi where you are not aware of anything. Just you know that you are, that's it. This is eyes closed meditation. When your eyes are closed, you simply know you are. But you don't know where you are, what you are, who you are, as though you are not there at all. But just there is abhyas. Just there is a feeling that you are nothing more than the feeling that I am. This he calls Nirvichara Samadhi, Nirvitarka Samadhi. And finer aspects of this are more other types of samadhis, he says. And with all this, Nirvichara Vaisaryade Dhyamata Prasada, more and more experience of thoughtless state of mind brings Dhyatma Prasada, grace of the divine in life, grace of the soul gets manifested. Adhyatma Prasada, spiritual awakening, spiritual blossoming happens, with more and more being hollow and empty. More hollow, more empty, spiritual awakening. Nirvichara Vaishyarade, mastery over hollow and emptiness. Nirvichara, that's hollow and empty really. Adhyatma Prasada, grace of the being, the innermost comes forward, blossoms. The Tambara Tatra Prajna. That awareness is with the special knowledge, Ratambara, intuitive knowledge, the knowledge which is flawless, which is beyond time, which is steady and which is benevolent. Ratambara, full of truth. Truth, state of consciousness, that's what. Ratambara Tatra Prajna. And it is different from the Sruta Anumana Prajna Abhyam Anya Visaya Visesa Arthatvat. This is different from the one which you have heard or you have guessed. The knowledge which comes from the depth of the being is different from the one which you read, which you have heard or which you guess to the intellect. Sruta Anumana Prajna Abhyam Anya Visaya Visesa Arthatvat. Is different from and very special in that. Tajas Samskaro Nyasamskara Pratibandhi. The impression of the state of consciousness can wipe out all other impressions in the mind which are useless, which are not necessary for life. To some degree, this keeps happening to you all. Maybe 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%, 50%, 80%. Very first sitting of meditation when you have started, see that today is something of the past. And more deeper you go, more hollow and empty. You feel a new person, different person. Many people come up with this excuse. Oh, I feel totally different, changed. I'm not the old person. What has happened? It has removed, erased the other samskaras, the other impressions from the mind. It has made you new. It renews you again and again. Often you would experience that when you remember the past, you feel, oh, you are not the same person, or that was not you. As though you're not at all connected to those events and that person who did those jobs. How many of you feel this way? Whatever you did 15, 20 years ago, now you turn back and see, you will wonder, am I the same person? I didn't do it, somebody else did it. Why? Because this samskara of pure consciousness erases those things in your past and makes you a new person every time, every day. This is pure knowledge. If someone holds you onto something you did in the past, you just laugh at them because you are not the same person now. You see it as though somebody else did it. You have heard that story from Buddha's life. I have said it before. Buddha was in assembly and a gentleman came and he was very furious. He thought Buddha is doing something wrong. He's pulling all these people away and everybody is meditating now and people are very calm and quiet. And he was a restless businessman. He found his children going and sitting with Buddha and meditating to 2 hours every day. And he thought that if his children were engaging in business, they can make more money, they can do better off. And 2 hours going and spending in somebody sitting eyes closed, what will he get? So the father of the family was really upset and he said, I'm going to teach a lesson to this man. So with furiousness he came and looked at the Buddha. He came, walked straight to the Buddha because he was a well-known businessman of that locality. And as soon as he came near Buddha, all his other thoughts disappeared. But still the anger was there. He was shaking. So he could not speak, no words would come out of his mouth, but he spat on Buddha's face. And Buddha simply smiled. But all the other disciples around, they were gripped with anger. They were all angry, but they couldn't react because Buddha was there. So everybody was holding their lips tight and their fists tight and something. How dare you could do this, but couldn't say anything. And this man could not stay longer. He spat, and then few moments he thought if I stayed longer, he would burst out. So he ran away, went away. But Buddha, when he did not react or say anything, just smile, this man could not sleep the whole night. It was the first time in his life he met somebody who would just smile when he spat on his face. The man could not sleep and his whole body underwent such a transformation. He was shivering, shaking. I don't know. He had an earthquake. The whole world became upside down. And next day he comes, falls at Buddha's feet and says, please pardon me, I don't know what I did. Buddha said, I cannot excuse you. Now the disciples were shocked. Says Buddha is so compassionate, he always excuses everybody. Now he said, I cannot excuse you, not possible. But then Buddha had to explain because everybody was in a state of shock. He said, you didn't do anything, how can I excuse you? What did you do? What wrong have you done? He said, no, yesterday I spat on your face. I'm the same person. Oh, he said, That person is not there now. If I ever meet that person on whom you spat, I will tell him to excuse you. So to me right now, to this person who is here, you are wonderful, you have never done anything wrong. That is compassion. Compassion is not saying, oh, make somebody culprit and then, okay, I forgive you. That's no compassion. Your forgiveness should be such that the person who is being forgiven does not even know that you are forgiving them. They don't even feel guilty of a mistake. That is the right type of forgiveness. If you make someone feel guilty about their mistake, then you have not forgiven them. That guilt itself is the punishment, is good enough. Guilt is good enough to eat you, swallow you. Knowledge takes you away from guilt, puts you on a pedestal where you don't see the world at all. World in the sense, not that you don't see the world, world in the sense you don't see all this complicated chit chat of the small mind. They all appear insignificant. Tasyapi nidode sarva nirodan nirbija samadhi. Another kind of samadhi where even that is also not there. That feeling of some impressions is also not there. And there is no end to this. There are many different types of states of awareness, types of samadhi being described. The path is long, and every step is complete in itself. It's not that you are aiming at a goal after some time. The goal is in every moment, yet the path is long. Do you get it? The path is very long, yet the goal is at the moment. The goal is that where you are. And that patience, it's not that hurrying, oh, I want samadhi today. Yeah? There should be all enthusiasm at the same time with enthusiasm, patience. Do you think this is a very interesting thing? Those are very enthusiastic, they have no patience. People who have patience are very lethargic. Okay, we will do it maybe next night. Others are restless, I want it right now. Do you see this? You can see this every step, everywhere, you can see everyone. Either they are of this extreme or that extreme. See, it's like you can have sleep, but you cannot have a quick sleep. Hurried sleep is not possible. You cannot say, I'm in a hurry, I should quickly sleep and go. Okay, try to sleep quickly, 10 minutes of short rest, quick, hurry. Not possible. Do you see that? Same way, hurriedly you cannot remember. Okay, let me remember, quick, 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 quick. The hurry in remembering delays the remembering. When you want to remember something, the more hurried you are, restless you are to remember it, the longer it takes you to remember that, isn't it? Same with the sleep, same with meditation. You cannot say, I'm going to have quick meditation. I have no time, I have to have quick meditation. Not possible. So, this path is a middle path, a golden path. When you are enthusiastic, you are in a hurry, and at the same time, you are patient. You are patient, at the same time, you are not lethargic, you are not postponing things. You know, often when people, if they have to do something good, something for their personal development, with God willing, I will do it. If God willing, it will come to me. They leave it to God. When it comes to one's practices, the development. But if you have to do something in the world, something that you do in the world, they don't say, God willing, I will become, I will make a house. If God willing, I will have a relationship. You don't do that. You look for a relationship, you look for house, you look for a job, you look for money. For that, you put your 100%. But if you have to do something for your growth, you say, if God willing, it will happen. Many people say that, at least in India. I think it's the same everywhere, isn't it? If God wills, then I will do it. It should be the other way around. So, patience and dynamism, enthusiasm is the golden rule. There ends the first chapter. Jai Gurudev, Namaste.